Alright, I don't even know if you can see me or not in the shadows, but I wanted to make a quick video. You know, there's some nasty people out there that are still, after all these years, trying to discredit the Sasquatch genome study, discredit those people who, those scientists that worked on it, and those of us that support it and were part of collecting samples. And you got to ask yourself, what in the world these people, why? But when it gets down to the bottom line, I'll just bottom line it for you. The results of this study basically said that they're a human hybrid and their mitochondrial DNA was human. And since the late 80s, just about every, well, not just about, every test that was done on authentic Sasquatch, Bigfoot, forest people, hairy man hair, it's my sister, she's wearing a test that's been done on authentic Sasquatch hair has always, or blood or flesh, it doesn't matter, has always come back mitochondrial DNA is human. And all the labs home around and say, oh, it was contaminated. And that's what it was. And so for the past 30 years, including the DNA study, they're trying to claim it's always contaminated. Because if Sasquatch is a human hybrid and the DNA, the mitochondrial DNA is human, then that blows their narrative that Sasquatch is a bipedal ape and that the Sasquatch genome study is total bunk. Now let me say something about these labs. There's one famous lab that does samples all the time for people, especially these shows, and he has got authentic Sasquatch hair on multiple occasions, but they always come back human, and then he declares that they were contaminated. Well, I've got news for this person. Either he or she is the most incompetent lab technician that there is and has a dirty, nasty lab that I'd never send any samples to. Or they're, as always, they just can't accept that it's a human hybrid, so it must be contamination. So that's what's going on. It's been going on. It's going to continue to go on. So here it is. This is for those. Let me get rid of it. This is for those who just insist that it's all a bunch of crap and they're bipedal apes. Why haven't you done any more DNA studies? I heard about one that J.C. Johnson was involved in, and the preliminaries come back that it supported the Sasquatch genome study, and that the mitochondrial DNA was human, and then poof, study went away. No one heard about it. Some very famous people collected samples. J.C. Johnson got the sample of samples. An eyewitness in Arizona, I believe, in the Four Corners area, watched the Sasquatch, got panicked because he got busted, ran through a cedar tree, cut himself, left hair, flesh, and blood. They called some guy, a scientist of from some local university that's had a PhD. He supervised, just to make sure, he supervised the collection of the DNA. So they had an eyewitness watch the Sasquatch leave the sample. They got the sample. They gave it to this very famous person in this DNA study that was going on sometime 2015-ish, I think. And it went overseas to a very famous geneticist, and he even made a statement, public statement, that you could clean the hairs and make them pristine, and that there would be no contamination, which has been a known fact for 25 years. That's what they do forensically. You can wash the samples and remove any contamination. And Dr. Sykes, that's the guy's name, he admitted to this. So anyway, that study basically had this pristine hair and flesh and blood, and I'll put the link in the video, but the JC site posted the preliminary and made a big to-do of it, and all of a sudden there was silence. Well, I got a hold of JC before his death, and I have it documented in a Facebook messenger discussion that he was under a non-disclosure agreement, but basically they got the preliminaries, and then Scholastica, who was sponsoring the study, shut her down because it was human. The mitochondrial DNA was human. And I don't care, Mr. Bigwigs and all you other people, no matter how many samples you test, no matter where you get them, whether it's blood, whether it's hair, whether it's snot, whether it's feces, I don't care what you get. When you DNA test it, it's going to come back the mitochondrial human. Period. You can't change that. You can't wish it away. You can't hem-hum about it and ignore it. And I'm willing to wager. I'm not a betting man, and I wouldn't make this bet, but I'd be willing to wager every dime I had in this world that any and every Sasquatch sample you ever test from here until eternity is going to come back human. And you can't get around it, you can't deny it, you can't hide from it. And that's the bottom line. So if you want to write your little books and you want to, call me names and call Dr. Ketchum names and try to discredit the scientists that worked on that paper, the paper itself, and everybody involved in it, and you just go right ahead. But at the end of the day, buddy, it's always going to come back human, and you can't run and you can't hide from that. So that's the bottom line of that one. So I probably came out shadow, but I don't care. I got my point across. Hiking today, having a good time, enjoying it. It's cool, about 60 degrees. It's October 3rd, Great Smoky Mountains. Party, I've been knocked there. I was not knocked at, but they're using knocks today as a signal. And there was a nice crisp knocks as I was coming up the trail. It's a very busy day, a lot of people, so they're kind of busy. I was watching the watchers, and I saw some movement behind these three ladies. God, they were loud. And so I was fortunate. I was going across the hill up a trail. They were going down the holler on the trail, so I was above them about 7,500 feet looking down. So I just kind of stopped and wanted to see if anything was following them, and I saw some movement. It's too far away. It's on the side of the trail in the brush, but I got it on film, but it's so far away and it wasn't clear, but something was, could have been a bear. That's all, we're in the Smoky, so it's, that's the first line of defense. It could have been a bear. So anyway, but I just wanted to get that out because, I'm not going to give these people any publicity, and I'm not going to give you links to books and what people said. I really don't care anymore. It's just like, I wrote my book, and you can read it and you can do your research and decide for yourself. And these people, it's sad. It really is sad. Instead of trying to help and trying to get to the bottom of it, like most scientists, when they come up with a result that doesn't meet their worldview or doesn't fit their theory, instead of changing their theory or accepting the results and saying I was wrong or my theory was not correct, this is what we have, they just ignore it, obfuscate it, push it to the side, and cognitive dissonance kicks in, and they just refuse to accept it, and they excuse it, and they can move on. And that's the world we live in, and that's just the way it is. And people have sent me links and stuff, and I appreciate it, but there's no need. I made one comment, and those who keep up with me know what I'm talking about, and that was it. And that comment pretty much said basically what I said here is just read for yourself, make up your own mind. All we can do is present it. That's all. And whether you choose to consider it, look at it, study on it, and make up your own mind, that's, I encourage you to do that. Don't take our word for it. Don't take my word for it. Do your research. Do your study. And I know that takes time. A lot of people don't have time. They just want to watch a quick 10-minute video and, okay, there it is, boom, and move on to the next subject. It's football time or whatever. And I get that, but it's been busy. I just wanted to get that out, and like I said, if I'm in the shadows, so be it. I think you could hear me, and that's all it was, necessary. I'm here on top, about 3.5 miles in. Going to do about another mile, maybe 2, and then come out. All right, guys, y'all take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you later. As an addendum to what I was saying earlier, come to me as I get on down the trail. My friend Randy Bisson, he had a batch of Sasquatch hair that he'd recovered, and he sent some of it to the Sasquatch genome study. And of course, it had skin tags, and it came back as the mitochondrial DNA was human. Well, 2 or 3 years later, when all this uproar was going on, Randy sent a few more, some more hair off from the same batch that he sent Dr. Ketchum in the Sasquatch genome study to an independent lab up in Canada. And guess what? The results came back. Mitochondrial DNA was human. So that's verification in itself, and just proof again. No matter how many times you test it, how hard you wish it's not going to come back this way, it's always going to come back. Human mitochondrial DNA. It's a human hybrid. And I'll put a screenshot of that in when I'm talking about it. And there's been other samples tested since, same thing. It's all mitochondrial. It's always mitochondrial human. And that's just one thing you can't hide from. Just can't hide from it. You can't hide from the facts. They may be inconvenient. But the truth is the truth, regardless of your political beliefs or your spiritual beliefs or what you think or how many books you've written to the contrary. So there you go. And it's an old oak tree. It's been here. I guess it's one they left when they clear cut this area of the park. This area of the park was clear cut, logged out about 70 years ago. Almost all this is new growth. And they left a few old boys to reseed. Good grief, that man's hard, strong. I wanted to keep thinking of stuff. I'm on my way out right now. And one thing I wanted to add is for those who are hopeful that those people that control information and are the big names are going to ever admit or come out with a study and agree with or say that it's a human hybrid. They're never going to do that. And you know why? Because they can't. They've painted themselves into a corner. They've made careers and that based off and wrote books and do seminars based off their assertion that the Sasquatch is a bipedal ape of some sort, or even some sort of missing link. They might even go that far. But they admit it's a human hybrid, then they have to admit they were wrong. They have to admit that they destroyed people's careers out of their own self-interest. They have to admit to a crime, so to speak, and they're never going to do that. They're too proudful. They'll never do that. And so don't ever expect it. This generation will have to die off before you're going to get the truth, or Steve will push it through another way. But as far as the current controllers of information and the Sasquatch subject, they'll die trying to, suppress the truth, because the truth shows that they're liars. The proof shows that they were wrong. The truth, is the ultimate judge and jury for them, and it exposes them for what they are. So they'll never do that. And I remember watching, I think it was History or Discovery Channel special, and they were talking to a biologist, wildlife biologist, and he was being honest, but he literally told the man that was interviewing him that if there was a body of a Sasquatch laying in front of him and he had to step over it, he still wouldn't believe it. And so you can't, when people are so grounded and steadfast in their dogma and their cognitive dissonance, there's nothing you can do. I mean, a body, that guy admitted even a body won't do it. So, a body or solid proof, whether a body or a piece of a body that can be DNA tested, would be the worst thing that could happen to most of these established people, because it'll come back human hybrid, and and it'll run that little tea party. So I just wanted to add that in closing as something that I thought of when I was hiking. The bottom line is, they don't want to know, and they'll never allow it to come out. At least from them, they won't. And if it comes out from someone else, of course, they'll always attack it, because they can't have the truth. Because the truth convicts them and exposes them for what they are. So, that old truth, she cuts pretty deep. She doesn't care about you, who you are, or how much money you make, or anything else. The truth. So, thought I'd add that there on the end of this thing, and I got 3 different things now I got spliced together. But yeah, that's pretty much why you see these studies disappear into oblivion that they've done after Sasquatch genome study, because they can't have a study that backs up the Sasquatch genome study that supports the findings. Can't have it. And so I have a prediction, you'll never have it. Because even, they may do the study, but once they get the results, they won't release them, and they'll just, it's happened now over a dozen times, I guess, and it'll continue to happen no matter who sponsors it, no matter, what their promises. They'll make everybody sign a non-disclosure agreement, and they'll tell them the results. But like my friend J.C. Johnson, he couldn't say anything. So it's a nice little racket they got going. Just remember that next time you see some of the garbage that they spew. Well, I'm gonna finish this up. You gotta watch the trailer, you'll bust your fanny. This is not a trail you can lollygag on. So I'm gonna get off here and get back to the truck and get back to the house. It's been a great afternoon still. It's about 2:35 in the afternoon. Birds singing. It's very, very nice. Went down to a little brook and had me a little break, and then headed back out. So this will be about 8, 9 mile, maybe 10 mile hike. I think 5 miles in, 5 miles out. Pretty good little hike for a day. So anyway, I'm gonna start rambling and sign off for now. You guys take care.